This is a newspaper. Go through the pages, you will come across chains of advertisements and hundreds of news items displayed in a very systematic manner. These news items are taken from various areas of interest, say politics, arts, science, commerce, games and sports, then foreign affairs, etc. and etc. Anything and everything you can think of, it is there in a newspaper. Newspaper seems to be a space where news items jostle together, but they never lose their identity. How? Because each and every item has a name, a caption, a title. And in journalism, this title is known as headlines or news headlines. This is what we are going to discuss today. Hello everybody, good evening. This is TITBITS 23 and we are talking about how headlines are made in a newspaper. A journalist or a news editor knows very well how to write a headline, and a new reader of a newspaper should also know how it is written. Otherwise, there may be some confusion. A news headline is not a sentence. It is a phrase made up of less than 10 words normally. And the main purpose of the editor is to draw attention of the readers. That's why he tries to be catchy and attractive. And for that reason, he deliberately avoids certain grammatical rules and norms. And that makes things easier for him. Anyway, let's see those norms that are deviated in a news headline. Number 1, no article, A and the. 3 articles are there. In a newspaper headline, normally article is avoided. No to be verb, no to have verb, and no auxiliary verb. So without these, tools, a caption is written in a newspaper. Let's see some examples. Number 1, student murdered, friend held. You see it yourself. Student murdered, friend held. If you just try to make a meaning of this without supplying the unit that is needed, you will make a mistake. Because student murdered, it simply means that a student murdered somebody. But when you read the news item, it will be clear that student did not murder. It is the student who was murdered. So you see the area of confusion here. So let's see, student murdered. Here an article is dropped. A student murdered. That means a student is murdered. And then friend held. A friend is held. So what happens? A student is murdered and a friend is held, that is arrested in this connection. So this is how a newspaper headline is made, and you have to supply certain words and necessary grammatical tools to make some sense of it. Come to number 2. Cyrus Mistry killed at 54 as car slams into divider. The same thing here. Cyrus Mistry is the name of an industrialist. Kill means is killed. That means dies. At 54, at the age of 54. So Cyrus Mistry did not kill anybody. He himself dies at the age of 54 as his car slams into a divider. So this is the exact meaning of the sentence. Cyrus Mistry is killed at the age of 54 as his car slams into a divider near Mumbai, etc. and etc. So you see, the caption is in the present tense, but the main story is in the past tense. And this is true about the first instance also. Remember this one. Now come to the third example. Common entry test for PhD dropped. Common entry test. The common entry test for PhD studies is dropped. Common entry test means common university entrance test, normally known as CUET, and it is conducted by NTA, National Testing Agency, and that is dropped for some reason or other. This year, this examination is dropped. So we have missed here one article, the, and then a verb, is. So this way, it is made shorter so that it can take less space in the newspaper, and at the same time it becomes catchy and attractive. We come to the next point. Colon used instead of a verb. Sometimes verb itself is dropped, and in place of a verb, colon is used. For example, Godrej colon. Colon means two full stops vertically placed. So Godrej colon, stop dividing. The verb is obvious. Godrej said. Godrej means Nadir Godrej said. Instead of said, we have just a colon. Colon is used in place of a verb, say verb or tail verb, whatever. Now come to B. Earthquake in Andaman, colon, 100 dead. That means an earthquake in Andaman, in the Andaman, left 100 people dead, something like this. Whenever there is a colon in a newspaper headline, you must supply a suitable verb so that it makes some good sense. And you have to supply that verb. Even if you can't, you read the main story and it will be clear. Then we come to the third point. Use of infinitive in place of future tense. President to decide new guidelines simply means President will decide new guidelines about something that you will get in the main story. Now come to number 4. More often, it's a phrase, not a sentence. I already hinted at this one, that this is not a sentence. A caption cannot be a sentence. And a caption is always short. It's a phrase rather than a sentence. It takes not more than 10 to 12 words. And the shorter it is, the better. At home behind bars. At home behind bars. Somebody feels at home behind bars. This is something a little bit paradoxical, and this paradox actually attracts more attention. Somebody is in the jail and he feels at home there. This is a paradox. Home is home and jail is jail. Therefore, these two things are not the same. But maybe there are certain circumstances in which somebody may feel at home in jail. So this is what is the news item. So maybe in the story we'll get the real meaning why it is said that at home behind bars. Next one, Petros promises to deliver. Dimitri Petros is a footballer and he promises. That means he promises to do something, to deliver. That means promises to lift his team, promises to give his team a victory. So these are the 4 areas. An editor or a journalist gives some more attention while writing a caption or headline. It's always a catchy form, always a short form, and it attempts at drawing the attention of the reader. Once again, we try to sum up things. Catchy summary within 10 words. It's a phrase, not a sentence. Then articles to be verb, to have verb, and auxiliary verbs are deliberately avoided. It is not a mistake on the part of the writer. It is a deliberate action. Number 3, headlines in the present tense, but the main story is in the past tense. What is taking place today, tomorrow it will be past action. So what we get in the newspaper today is always past action. But in the headlines, normally it is given in the present tense, and the main story, it is written in the past tense. To infinitive, to narrate future tense, sometimes will and shall, this form is avoided. I shall go, he will do, this form is avoided, and to infinitive form is used to make the future tense. And finally, colon is placed in place of some obvious verb like say, like lead, etc. What you can guess very easily. So these are the basic items that make a headline in English newspapers. So take care of these things. Once you know this, you won't have any confusion regarding the meaning of the text. It is written, it has a context, you have to read in terms of that context. Headlines only give you some clues or some sort of summary, you can say. That's all. So this much today. Have a nice time. See you soon.